Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Wamberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if it's your first time. I'm going to be doing your pick a card reading today. We have a new moon in Aries, and new moons are about calling in new energy. They're about setting intentions for new things you want to bring into your life, new energy. It could be physical things, it could be emotional states, anything like that. And we have Aries is the start of the zodiac, so we're in the zodiac new year now. With the moons. And yeah, even if it's not the new moon when you're watching this, this is a timeless reading. So there's probably a message in here for you. And just a reminder, take what resonates, leave the rest. This is a general reading. And like usual, I've inserted an overhead shot of the 4 groups. You can go ahead and pick the one that resonates for you. You can pick by the number, by the site, whatever you feel called to. And then when you're ready, all the timestamps are below. And so I will see you at the group that you picked. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So I'm going to start with your tarot and then clarify with your oracle cards at the end. Okay, so opening your reading, we have the 9 of Pentacles. We have the 4 of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the 7 of Swords. We have the Emperor. We have the 9 of Cups. We have the King of Swords. Okay, so where do I want to start? So first, what I'm seeing here is, there might be some, with this 9 of Pentacles and the 4 of Pentacles, there might be some, and I don't think I said this, but reminder, new moon is about calling in new energy, new intention. So anything that comes up for you of like maybe things you want to call into your life during this reading, that's what we want to focus on. But okay, so what I was saying, so this is the 9 of Pentacles into the 4 of Pentacles. So here it seems like the energy I'm getting from this is like there was abundance or there is a desire for abundance around something, but the heart center might be closed to it. You see this guy, he's got, the pentacle right around his chest. So, maybe he's a little worried or a little unsure or a little fearful. So I think you can ask yourself, what abundance do I feel like I am not safe if I get? Do I feel like I need to hide from getting? Do I feel like it's not actually for me? So just something going on here with like, there's some distrust or some protecting of the heart that's going on. I don't know how that's resonating for you, but something like that is going on, because the truth is, you see, and then with this Ace of Cups on the other side, you're actually surrounded by abundance, right? This Ace of Cups is a very abundant card, especially in regards to love. If you're looking at romantic love, whether you're in a relationship or not, or looking, there is so much abundance. There are so many people who'd love to be with you, or there is so many layers to, if you're currently in a relationship, to moving it to the next level. And then here, this is, you see this person in their garden with their bird and their coins and their vegetables and their, a lot of physical abundance in this one. So this to me is just saying like, what is going on in your heart center where you feel like you need to block yourself? Maybe you don't feel deserving, you don't feel worthy, you don't feel like abundance is yours to have, which abundance is all of our divine birthright, just having the stability and connection to all the abundance that exists in this realm is our birthright, is, we're all entitled to that. And so just looking at, maybe for this new moon or whenever you're watching this reading, you can think about, how could I call in some abundant energy, or what are some affirmations I can say to myself, or some energy I can call into myself to really feel like I can, you don't have to completely throw the coin away. It might be too big of a step, but what is going on with me that maybe I can release some of this energy so that I can call in some abundant energy. I can get more clear about the ways that, abundance can be mine and it can be possible for me. And I can connect to that, because this is, to me, it feels like there's just a block in the mind. So maybe it's like, I could never have that certain job because of this, or my relationship could never get to that level because of this, or, I could never have this because of that. So I think this is the message I'm getting very clearly from these surrounded together, is just, what's the limiting belief you're telling yourself? What is the thing here where you feel like you can't actually have these things that you want? I mean, just getting clear about that. Because then if we look to this at the center of your reading, we have the Seven of Swords. So I feel like maybe this is a sneak card. This is a sneaky guy. So maybe you got cheated, you got burned in the past, someone harmed you, or things didn't go the way you wanted, or you had a painful experience, which I can feel it in my heart. So I'm sorry if that happened to you. Been there, like, it's part of life, it's part of our growing, it's part of our lessons. So maybe with this new moon, you can really think about writing a new story for yourself. So sometimes when we get wounded, we can be so afraid that we can get cheated or harmed again, that that's the story we're so fearful of creating, that we just like don't even take a chance with anything. And it causes us to block our heart. It causes us to not want to trust ourselves, to not trust God, to not trust our higher power to deliver things that are good for us. So maybe with this new moon, you can think about the ways that you can write a new story for yourself. You can kind of use some of this Seven of Swords energy to, use some discernment. What did you learn from that, right? So there's a lot of things of we want to categorize things as good and bad a lot, which, like, okay, there's obviously not ideal things in life, but a lot of times we can get neutral about a situation. We can kind of lose our emotional grip on it if we can understand what happened from it. And sometimes the only lesson we need to learn from something is to be more compassionate to ourselves and to not internalize someone else's behavior as meaning something about us. Maybe that's a lesson you needed to learn from, these times maybe where you got scorned, or you got cheated, or you got, whatever's coming up for you with this blocking energy. So maybe looking at some ways you can kind of like release some of that judgment of the self, release some of the ways you've been, just not being super kind to yourself, which is easier said than done, I know. But I think this card being in the center of your reading, it's really showing me that this is something that is very, very, very loud in your energetic field. So whatever the wounding you have from this particular thing, it might be helpful for you to think about, how can I write a new story for myself? So a lot of times when we've been through a hard time, the story we tell ourselves is, oh, this thing happened to me and I don't feel good and it was so bad and now I'm, messed up forever, damaged forever, or, whatever we want to say about it. And so maybe taking some time to journal and be like, how can I write a new story for myself? Like, write your story from, they call it the hero's journey, right? So write your story from the hero's journey. So like, I went through this thing and I survived, and now I know this is a red flag for me. This is a no for me. This is something that I'm not going to give into anymore. And just getting clear about the ways that, you use some of this discernment to move forward. And again, we're not, when you do that, we're not condoning anything that happened. We're not saying people should, there's no problems for people acting how they acted, but it is important to remember that you get to decide to find whatever meaning you want in anything that has happened to you. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like, this happened so I could, forgive this person. But I think it's more important to think about, can you be more loving and compassionate to yourself? And if you can, then that's the point of a lot of hardship in life, is just to be more compassionate and understanding to yourself. Because the ending of your reading, the last three cards, we have the Emperor, the Nine of Cups, and the King of Swords. Okay, it's not like I get so excited to talk about all of them. I pull all three up at once, but we'll start with the Emperor. So the Emperor, you see, this is just a guy who, okay, let me just reframe this. Okay, so this card was saying, right, you have this closed heart space, and then you have these two abundant things on either side. What I'm seeing in the second part of your reading, the ending of your reading, is you have two very strong, sturdy, clear in their boundaries, clear in who they are cards. So the Emperor and the King of Swords, surrounded by this, which is the Nine of Cups, is like a wish card. It's like, you can have whatever you want. You can, create the life you want. You can create the experiences, the opportunities that you want. You can say yes to things that you want. This is like a wish fulfilled card. So I think when you are able to understand, like, who am I moving forward? What did I learn from this experience? How, so we have to understand that when we get pushed out of something, it's never to punish us. It's just to help move us to something we wouldn't have chosen by ourselves. And so here, you have this wish card, this beautiful, like, the choice is yours. It's like there's so many things behind there. And I think this is really nice, mirrored with also the Nine of Pentacles, double nines. Double of anything is always nice to see in a reading as extra confirmation. So, we have the Emperor who's here, who's just like the Emperor, like there he is, and regardless of your gender, the cards are gendered, but whatever your gender is, it's just the energy of the card you want to focus on. And so just knowing the Emperor is here, And he's looking on his kingdom, very sturdy. You know, he still has some his armor on, so he went through his battle. So you're not acting like, you know, you learn nothing from these experiences, or you need to abandon yourself, or you need to like not you know, you're not gonna be a fool for opening your heart again, which I think is a lot of the fear energy I'm picking up on this. So you're not gonna be a fool for trusting again, for opening your heart, for saying yes to miracles, or trying something new. Because what we see with that, and then your wish granted here, you know, the outcome of your reading, we have the King of Swords. So again, very sturdy energy, very clear. I think this is really beautiful, poetic moment that there's, you know, this was the Seven of Swords into the King of Swords. So, you know, I feel like this is representative of you taking what you learned from this time in your life, this hardship, this brokenhearted thing, and just really owning that energy in your heart, and just really being like, yes, I have this thing I went through. Same thing with the Emperor, like still having the armor on. I went through this thing. I have the lesson in my hand. I have the sword in my hand. And now I'm ready to move forward. Again, not naively, not stupidly, not, you know, you're not going to unlearn your lessons. You're not going to do stupid stuff if you really take the time to think and reflect on things that have happened to you. So I think this is saying, you know, how can you use this new moon to transform? And Aries is a fire sign. So using some of that fiery energy to transform some of these things that happen to you, to push yourself to move forward, to get to the next layer of your life. Because again, hard times are not punishment. Usually they're initiation. Usually they're getting us ready for the next level of our life. And as someone who's gone through a lot of hard times, I'm not romanticizing them. I know it's so much easier said than done if you're in the middle of it right now. So I really feel for you, but I can just feel from this reading, like your heart space expanding and like trusting yourself more, and just being open to more of like some of the beautiful energy of what it does mean to like have limits, to go back to basics, say this is what I need or what I don't need. And then also, again, just ending with this King of Swords, knowing that you can have whatever you like. So what discernment are you going to use to make your choices? What are you going to learn from this lesson to move forward? And even look at this, just caught my eye right now, this beautiful butterfly above him, of just like the chrysalis, the transformation, the getting to the next level energy that's coming from this. Again, look at your oracle cards. Okay, so we'll start with this one. So this is really good. So we have Reflect as the first card. Very beautiful. So I think this is exactly what I was just talking about with, you know, what did you learn from this? Again, we're not condoning anything when we say, what did we learn from this? But, you know, there's a beautiful saying, suffering ends when meaning begins. So when you can understand why you went through something, how you got on the other side, that's what this card can really, I think, is just kind of giving you a little wink of what to focus on and what to remember for yourself. So really reflecting on, what did I go through to get me to this other side that is now, you know, who I wasn't before. And yeah, I think, again, going along with that, this beautiful card, Cracked Open. So rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. Again, a lot of times, you know, when we're going through a hard time and we're like, why is this happening? Why is all, you know, we ask many times to get moved into the next level of our lives, but everything has to be pulled away and has to come apart if we want to be able to move to the next space. If we want more things to come into our life, things have to leave. And so sometimes we can romanticize this ending part of like, okay, we got there, it was worth it, all this stuff. But, you know, this process of being cracked open is not, it's not fun. It's not the most fun thing. But it is just, again, a process of trusting, like, okay, I'm cracked open, so things could leave. So my life can now shift after everything has like been cracked open. You know, the alchemy of life, this is just speaking about the process of life, of like, we have to let things go. We can't control everything. We have to know when to say when about certain things. Knowing just that like all these things are on purpose for us to move forward, instead of to punish ourselves or to judge ourselves or, you know, anything like that. So trusting that if you do feel cracked open, if you feel really broken right now with this new moon, it can be a time to just like kind of reset and know that this is, it's all for your highest good, which is probably annoying AF to hear sometimes. But if you can have that little bit of faith that maybe you can get there, even if you don't feel like that right now, then, you know, that can be helpful, we're not asking you to dismiss how you're feeling right now, but just knowing that that is possible for you in the future. Then we have deconstructing doubt. So just what I'm talking about. So if you feel like, oh my God, I'm being punished for this heartbreak, for this thing, you know, so the back of this card says, only my beliefs are in the way. So eventually we have to get to the point with our lessons where, you know, where it's like, okay, this happened, it is what it is. And now what am I going to do about it? And not like doubting your ability to heal, doubting your ability to grow, doubting your ability to, you know, move forward with a lot of these things. And I love these cards because it feels like it's just mirroring this process a lot, because we have align your life also. So what is not aligned or needs to change? So this is again the energy of what I was talking about of like, what did you learn from this? You know, maybe, you know, I stayed in something too long. Maybe that's the only lesson you need from it. Or, you know, I wasn't listening to myself in the situation, or you know, I don't know, whatever comes up for you. But I think with this new moon, you can be like, okay, where do I want to call in new whole energy into my being? And how can I do that? How can I show up for myself? How can I set those things for myself? And so align your life can do that. And then this card is caution. It doesn't really feel like, you know, like watch out, something bad's gonna happen, right? But I think there's two things it's resonating with this reading. One is this is like, you know, you had a lot of caution energy going on for you with this part, just like a lot of like, I can't move forward, I can't do this, you know, it doesn't feel good. So I think that. And then also here, when we talk about discernment, it's not caution like something bad is going to happen to you, but just remembering to use your discernment to say like, okay, this is something I want in my life. This is something I don't want in my life. This is helping me. This is not helping me. Because if you say yes to everything, you're actually not saying no to anything, which means that you will not be able to discern things that are moving forward. So I think whatever you say yes to, whatever like wishes you want fulfilled, just really journaling on that and really just thinking, what do I really want because I actually want it versus, you know, what am I just saying I want for lack or for, you know, whatever reason with all of this. Okay, so that's everything I have for you. I hope this serves you. Happy new moon. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi everyone, this is for everyone who picked group number 2. Welcome to your reading. Just a reminder for the new moon, you really want to focus on calling in new energy. So instead of, if there is something that comes up that maybe you feel like, okay, I want to release this thing from my life, that's good, but we want to set your intentions and your focus on calling in something new. So not focusing so much on what you want to release, but for focusing more on what you want to call in. And again, like I know obviously there's some overlap there, but just a reminder to kind of set some of those things, some differences for that. Okay, so like always, I'm going to start with your tarot and then we'll clarify with your oracle at the end. Okay, so opening your reading, 3 of Wands in reverse, to the Devil, to 8 of Pentacles, we have Judgment, we have King of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and Justice. Okay, so we have 3 major arcana cards here, so almost half your reading. So I think with this group, you're kind of going through there's some big shifts going on in your life, some big choices, especially around who you want to be moving forward. The theme of your reading is the Center, so this Judgment card. So just a lot of like, you know, push is coming to shove here. What are you going to do? I think that's coming through very loudly in this reading. But yeah, let me start at the beginning. Okay, so 3 of Wands in reverse. I feel like you have made a decision recently, or maybe not recently, but this being paired next to the Devil feels like maybe it didn't go how you thought it was going to go, or it was a little more challenging than you thought it was going to be, or I don't know, just you thought it was going to be something that it wasn't. So maybe you thought, okay, I'm going to make this choice and you know, things are going to be smooth sailing and no problem, or I'm going to start this new thing. You know, this is upright. This is a card about making, you know, there's a lot of options and you're taking a breather and you're making decisions. So in the reverse, we see that this is the choice is made. So you've already moved forward. And then connecting that to the Devil is like addiction energy or temptation or things that are hard. So I think I'm hearing like, you know, you made a choice, but then what the hell was that? Like, you know, maybe some anger, some rage, or, you know, something coming through of like, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be. You know, everything in our minds when we want something new or we see ourselves as this new version of ourselves, we can really romanticize that, which is good because that helps motivate us. sometimes when it gets down to the nitty gritty of it and actually moving through the process of becoming a different self or moving to the next level, the next layer of our lives, you know, sometimes that can be a different story. And sometimes it can be a little like, wow, that was really what I signed up for. This is really like what's going on with me here with that. So some of that energy. And then again, putting that next to this Pentacles with this eight of Pentacles here, you know, there is some hard work involved. So maybe this is, I mean, obviously all changes, we have to be different because we're choosing different patterns. So maybe this is you know, you had to work on yourself in a way you didn't expect, or the actual thing you wanted wasn't as easy as you thought it was going to be. It wasn't as smooth sailing as you thought it was going to be. It was like, you know, a little bit different or a little bit harder, or a little bit more internal, like grinding in private than, you know, just starting it right away, or, you know, maybe you didn't think it was going to be how it was. So I think with this new moon, you can definitely ask for like some relief. You can ask to make things easier. You can ask to not maybe burden yourself, because sometimes if things aren't what we thought they were and they do require some work, we can have that layer. And then maybe we have some shame or some judgment, or like, what's wrong with me? Why is it so hard? Why is it so challenging? So, you know, just looking at, if you are putting in work on yourself, it is, something's happening. Okay. Even if it's not seem like it's happening right now. And I think in new moon, there's a good reminder for us to know that a lot of the invisible things that are happening do come to light, right? The new moon, you can't see it in the sky. And so reminding that, so things are happening even when you don't feel like they're happening. Things are happening even if you maybe don't feel like it's happening. Things are happening even if it seems like nothing, even you can't see anything. So just have faith that this work is coming out for you, and it is gonna serve you of your highest good. This is very important for you. It's important for you to stay connected to that energy, and just remember that like any temptation is normal. The ego wants to dip out whenever it's challenged, especially if it challenges an identity it's connected itself to. So if you're going through something that maybe doesn't feel the best, just remember that, you know, the work on the other side is worth it, because look, we get to the center of your reading and there's judgment. And so judgment is about, it's not judging the self, which, as you know, maybe what we think it is, but it's more of like day of judgment energy. So like when push comes to shove, when we have to be accountable for who we are and what we've done, what can you say that you've done for yourself? What can you say the effort you put in has been? What can you say the way you've shown up for yourself has been? So a lot of times when we go through a hard time, right, it's like new level, new devil, if you've heard that saying, of just like when you make a decision and you're ready to change your life in a certain way, it could seem like, you know, romanticized and like, yes, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be so great. It's going to be so whatever, which is, you know, that's part of it. But there's always hardships in life when we make changes, because we have to adjust to certain things that weren't there before. And so look at this judgment card. We want to say, okay, who do I want to be now that I've moved through this? Who do I want to be now that I'm getting clear about these things? Who do I want to be able to say I was through this time? So I think something that you can think about or journal about for this new moon, or whenever you're watching this, is just thinking, how can I show up for myself? And maybe writing a letter to yourself from the future, of just imagining like, hey, I got through this, and this is who I am now, and this is what I feel, and this is what I know about myself, and I did it, and I'm so proud of myself, and all these things happened because of it. And so I'm hearing once you do that, you're going to create some space in your life for like new clarity and things to come through that maybe you hadn't before. And part of that is the King of Cups, right? Part of that is what I think, okay, I just got a lot at once. So King of Cups into the Page of Pentacles. I feel like when you do this and you take accountability for yourself and you honor that process, King of Cups is a card of emotion, right? Very powerful, again, regardless of your gender. It's just king energy, whatever gender you identify with. But you see he is on his throne. There's like, you know, the water behind him is, you know, out of control. And he's on his throne. He's got his emotions in check. He knows who he is. He knows what he's saying, knows how he feels. This is, again, a very strong card of emotion. So I think once you take this inventory for yourself and you just are like, this is what I put in. I know my heart is pure. I know what I'm doing. I know I'm willing to like go through some of these hardships, and those don't define me. Just how I'm choosing to show up and control my own behavior is what's defining me. Then that creates this kind of like emotional sanctuary and this emotional openness. Even with this cup here, for spirit to kind of fill your cup with abundance, with thoughts, with guidance, with the more you pour into yourself, the more the universe is going to pour into you and affirm things for you and just remind you of what is real and what is helpful for you to hear at this time. And then from there, with this Page of Cups or Page of Pentacles right afterwards, you know, this is the birth of a new idea. The Pentacles is about, this card with Pentacles was about hard work, but I think what we're seeing from this is the work you're putting in is going to result in, and then this emotional receptivity you open in yourself, this is going to allow this Page of Pentacles, like birth of abundance, right? This is about a new idea. This is about, you know, he's holding something in his hands of like, wow, this could be my idea. This could be something that I worked for. This can be something that's for me. This can be, you know, the next thing in my life. Just like trusting when you do take accountability for yourself, when you know your actions are pure, when you focus on cleaning up your side of the street, that creates this emotional receptivity for you to do God's will, not your will. And then you have this Page of Pentacles birth abundance idea. And then look at the outcome of your reading is so nice. There's justice here. So I feel like this is really beautiful. You know, eventually we're always shown why things had to be the way they were, even if we don't like it in the moment. And so I think ending your reading with justice is really nice because it can really show you, you know, some of these challenges and some of these hardships. It's just part of the process. And again, I'm not making light of it because I've been there, trust me, like gone through a lot of stuff with you. And I really, you know, send you some love and compassion if that's where you're at right now. But you can always know that eventually the moon will cycle through, the season will change, the storm will end. There will be justice for you because the law of divine compensation is real. God keeps perfect books. You can't miss out on abundance when you've been doing your part and just really owning who you are and making sure that you are acting in integrity within yourself. And so I think this justice card, again, is very beautiful just in terms of reminding you that there will be, it might not be what you think, right? It might not be, well, if God loves me, then this is going to happen. It might not be like that, right? But there is going to be reward for staying in your integrity and taking, again, accountability for yourself, being honest, you know, being that version of you that you can be. So I think with this new moon, what I'm really hearing from this reading, the theme is just, you know, really honoring, like, eventually you have to get to the point that it's okay, whatever this and this person did, or how this situation turned out, or any of that. And you have to get to the point, okay, what's left to control? Me, only me. And I mean, you know, only thing left is to focus on yourself and control yourself, and then understand, okay, how can I move forward based on that? How can I be accountable for myself based on that? And then how can I build that compassion, loving energy for myself that's going to help me have abundance, because abundance can always start as an idea. And then again, justice, once you've made your way through that part, that challenging part of your life, we can get to the other side and then see why things did have to happen the way they happened. Okay, I'm going to look at your oracle cards. Okay, so let's start with this one. I think it's very nice. Protection. So we have this beautiful protection card with Rowan on it. And I think this is just saying that, you know, sometimes we go through a hard time to learn a lesson, to kind of level up in our lives so that we can be protected from something, right? How do I want to say this? We can be protected from something that maybe we wouldn't have been ready for, or we wouldn't have been able to say no to if we hadn't gone through this other challenging time. So, you know, we do develop our boundaries as we get older. We do develop, like, okay, this is something I said yes to before, but I know I don't want to say yes to anymore. Or this is something that actually doesn't serve me, even though I thought it served me before. So just trusting that when you have to kind of like say no to something, or work on yourself, take accountability for yourself, like take inventory for yourself, this is protection. This is you, you know, just knowing that you're doing things to be able to show up for yourself, and to know that, you know, it's for your highest good, which again can be annoying sometimes when it's happening, but just knowing, you know, just trust that it's your growth is part of your protection for yourself. And then I think that's really beautiful, because with these two cards, we have awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration, and then your life is a canvas, artist, manifestation, creative accountability. So these two cards together are very beautiful. And then even, let's throw this one in there too, versatility. Okay, so I think we'll start with this one. So awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. So again, like I was talking about, new level, new devil. So, when we are awakening, when we do get to that next layer of our lives, there are challenges that maybe we didn't foresee, we don't want to deal with, we don't want to think about, so just trusting that when you are awakening, that, it can be a little rickety as you're finding your footing, right? You just think of like a newborn animal. When they're born, they can't walk, they got to stumble around a little bit. So that can be some of that. And then remembering your life is a canvas, artist, manifestation, creative accountability. So this is really beautiful, because as you do take judgment for yourself and you do decide what you want or not want in your life, it is up to you to decide, the things you want to focus on, the abundance you want to focus on, the things you want to call into your life. Because again, we have some versatility here, knowing you are versatile. So you can choose to work on what you want to work on. You can choose to be accountable in the ways you want to be accountable. I mean, a lot of times in life we go through things and we're like, what's the lesson here? Why did I do this? What's next? And the choice is yours. You've been through hardships, you know what to do, you can get through the other side, you can show up for yourself. All that is very possible for you. And just reminding you of that. And then I love this one's a really beautiful card to end on for group 2, grounding my energy. And then the back says, it is safe to be in my body. So grounding my energy. So I think even with this new moon, if you just set an intention of being in your body, sometimes, again, when we make a choice and it doesn't go how we wanted or how we thought, or we get like kind of thrown off guard a little bit, it can be really easy for us to not want to stay centered in ourselves, to not connect to ourselves. And so we want to like look outward or look for something outside of us that, look for like some stability there. And sometimes, if we're in fight or flight, or I need to reset my life or something like that, we can like want to leave our body to try and control a situation or something like that. But this affirmation, is safe to be in my body, is really beautiful. And I think if you do some breathing before you do some journaling, some new moon intentions, this can just be a really helpful way for you to kind of connect to yourself, so that, again, when we're talking about this King of Cups energy, allowing this emotional, I can't think of the word, the emotional whatever pour from spirit to come into you, right? Then you want to know that that happens when we are in our bodies. We can open up to source the most when we are in our bodies, when we feel connected to ourselves and to our higher power. So just remember that grounding your energy and being safe in your body is possible, and is how we feel connected to ourselves and to our higher power to kind of guide us to the thing that is for us. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you. If you ever want any information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much. Happy new moon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. Happy new moon. As a reminder, a new moon is a time to focus on calling new energy into your life. So if something comes up in these prompts or this reading that maybe it lets you reflect on things you want to release in your life, it's important to remember that it's with the new moon energy, you want to focus on, okay, if this is released, what's the new thing I want to come in? So focusing on, not so much releasing, as it's full moon, completion of cycles. New moon is calling in new energy and new thought patterns or things or anything like this. Okay. So as usual, I'm going to start with your tarot, and then I'll clarify with your oracle cards. Okay. So opening your reading, we have the 9 of Swords. Then we have 4 of Wands, 7 of Pentacles, Knight of Swords, 7 of Cups, the Hierophant in reverse, Empress. Oh, and when I was shuffling your cards, when I pulled the last one, 2 fell out at the end. So we have the Empress and the Fool, both energy going on. So the last 3 cards of your reading is all major arcana. So we'll get into it, but that's why this group has 1 more card than the other groups, because when I was shuffling at the end, Empress and the Fool fell out together instead of just one. So, but we'll get to it. Okay, so the theme of the reading for this group, we have the Knight of Swords. So I think you are about new action, maybe a new adventure, maybe some new, I don't know, something new, like new action is coming to you. So if you've been like waiting for a change in your life or something different to happen, then now's the time. That's what's going on with this. Okay. So, okay, let's start at the beginning. So I feel like, Yeah, wow. Okay, let's start with the Nine of Swords. So I feel like this is, this is waking up from a nightmare. This is maybe some troubled thoughts or some things that don't feel the best going on. So I feel like this being placed next to the Four of Wands. Four of Wands is like, it's the 1111 card. It's the romance card. It's the soulmate card. I feel like, and not just romantic wise, but all parts of your life being fulfilled. I feel like maybe what I feel like this is saying is like maybe there's been a nightmare about it's not going to happen for you, or these things aren't like your wishes aren't going to be fulfilled. Um, is what I'm hearing, which is it's so sad. It's not true, but the ego likes to play that game. Happens to me too, so I get it. But I feel like with these two cards together, maybe the energy that's going on with your life is in some way you feel like your wishes are not being fulfilled. Like maybe you stay up late crying or dreaming about it, or maybe, it just hasn't been happening on the timeline you want it to happen. It just feels like it's impossible, or, whatever. So it just feels like maybe you feel like you got forgotten about, or it's never going to be your time, or you see this thing happening that you want for everyone else and not for yourself. So maybe just some energy of like, or maybe because of, the world circumstances of the last year, whenever you're watching this video, maybe it's things have opened up, but because of COVID happening, in the last year-ish for everyone, we have had to put some of our plans and dreams on hold. We have had to not do as many things as we want to be doing. And so if you're not watching it now during that time, obviously this can still apply to you, but just as a collective, we're kind of going through that energy of like, just like, why can't I have the things I want to have happen? Like just a really, really big nightmare energy of like, what is going on? And then just going along with that, what I see from this is the Seven of Pentacles this is about putting your work in and being responsible for what you can be responsible for. But as you can see, the person, they're taking a break and kind of evaluating what they've done. So I feel like, again, this signifies that there's been a pause. I feel like this signifies that, maybe you have had to take a break. Maybe you've done all you can do in regards to a current situation and you're just in a little bit of a waiting game right now. So I feel like this is about just taking stock of all that you've done, making sure the things you can control, you've been controlling, the things you are able to do, you've been doing, instead of just being like, why isn't this happening? Where is it? Well, like, what is going on? Like all these things over and over again. So again, I feel like this is very much about, when you feel, you're doing all you can do sometimes. Sometimes that's what it is. You're doing the best you can do. You're doing all you can do. And so maybe, it is really honoring these feelings of maybe loss or disconnecting from some of the attachment you had of what you thought your life would be like or how things would be going right now. So just kind of like letting go of some of that. And maybe with this new moon, asking to have some new energy brought into your life of how can I think about this? How can I write a new story for myself, of taking stock of the things I am doing, of maybe it feels like I've done nothing because we, again, we're a little bit more limited than pre-COVID world. But, how can I take some stock of what I have been doing? How can I give myself some compassion and just some awareness of what I have been able to do for myself in this time? And, when we get to the center of your reading, I feel like this is about energetic action. So I see the Knight of Swords here. This is, again, action. This is a change. This is very fast movement. This is big changes. This is something coming in that's going to change things around for you. So like with this new moon, and that's very, very Aries energy with this new moon in Aries, this energy of just like big changes, fast, here we go, something's happening. So I think with this new moon, like sometimes we can get really, if you have been in a place where, some of these things where you have had to pause, you have had to take a moment to reflect and like kind of go through some of that internal process before the external world reflects that back to you. If you have been going through that, I think this new moon is a really great time for you to think like, okay, what action do I want to take once it's time for me again? Once maybe my inner world has cleared up, once my process is done, once I'm, wherever you are with everything. I just feel like with this Knight of Swords, it's saying that when it is time to take action, it's going to be fast, it's going to be clear, it's going to be like, especially if you had to wait a long time for something, like things can change very quickly if it hasn't been your reality yet. And so just thinking about with this new moon, what do you want to be able to take action towards once you can? What do you want to have new in your life once you can? Because so that's the theme of your reading. And then when I see this, these two next to each other, well, let me start with this one. Let me start with Seven of Cups. When I see this one, this is options, right? So this is saying like, whatever dream that you're so sad isn't coming true, it's like, okay, well, am I clear about not only what you can do, but how specific am I in this thing? So let's say you're waiting for a job, or you're waiting for a new partner, or you're waiting to move, or you're waiting, whatever this process is, you probably have more options than you think. Like maybe it's not all the options you want. You don't want to consider them all. But this is to me saying, get very specific about what it is you want, get very specific about the details of it, of, I want, if you're looking for a job, it's like, I want it in this location, in this thing, doing this. And then also just ask yourself, where have I been shutting myself off? And sometimes when we can get desperate or we have to wait a long time, it's like, okay, well, I'll just take anything because, I've had to wait for so long. And obviously there's a time and a place where we have to do that. But I think this is saying, just really reevaluate your options, just get very clear about what they are. And then I think this, with the ending of your reading, especially with this Hierophant right next to it, this is saying like, maybe you've been, Hierophant is about tradition. It's about, having things be the old fashioned way or whatever. So this is saying to me, look at your options from outside of the box. So maybe you were just used to looking at them in one particular way, or like, okay, this is the only way it can happen, or, this is the way that it's going to be, or, just maybe thinking in a way that you've been thinking for a really long time. I think these two cards together is really saying, just make sure you're evaluating your options. Make sure you're thinking about your options in a way that maybe is deviating from the norm, or things that have been the standard and like normal in your life that maybe don't, maybe you hadn't thought of before. Maybe you did something this way just because that was the way it was always done, or a way you've always done it, or the way it was always done in your family or your culture or your tradition. But maybe thinking about ways you can do it a little bit differently. Because at the end of your reading, we have the Empress and the Fool again. With this ending, we have both of these cards together. So I see here, the Empress is divine feminine, right? And so divine feminine energy is really about feeling, really about how something feels, maybe less more about what it looks. And so maybe that's what the Hierophant is saying too, is like, obviously we need to have standards and we need to have things be a certain level of how it looks. That is important. But I feel like with this card, the Empress, it's saying, how is it feeling? Check in with your body. What does that feel like for you? How does it connect to certain parts of your feminine energy? Just kind of, putting a little more emphasis on how something feels more so than it looks. And maybe part of like the distraught with this was you were hoping a certain thing would be this way and then it's not. And now reevaluating your options is like, okay, maybe, when I was younger or before, I needed it to look this way, but I realized how something feels and how I'm treated in something and how I interact with it is more important than what it's just looking like. And so with the Empress here, I think it's about connecting to some divine feminine energy. And so, when with this new moon thing of like something new coming in, when you are thinking about all the ways that you can create like the thing you want in your life, the new thing that you want, don't forget to put on the list, how does it feel, right? So like, it's good to say, I want a job where I make this much money and do this type of work and whatever, but also like, I want to be valued. I want to be appreciated. I want to be acknowledged for my work. If you're writing about a relationship or a relationship you're in, to move it to the next level, or stuff with your family or where you want to live, like, I want to feel seen. I want to feel heard. I want to feel validated. So I think this is saying, just make sure the outcome of your reading is saying, make sure it's something that feels in tune with you just as much as it looks a certain way, right? Sometimes we can get really focused on like, it has to look this way, but something can come in a perfect package and then it's totally not an energetic match for us. So I think, when you do this new moon and when we think about, what can come in for you in this way, it's going to be really important to think about the ways that you can focus on how it makes you feel. And then I think that with the Fool energy is just kind of like a little wink, a little like affirmation that, sometimes when we do something we've never done before, we got to be a little foolish to take a risk. And so I think this is saying like, be a little happy-go-lucky, have some faith in yourself, trust yourself to kind of move forward and, make a decision that have a little faith in the decision you make, right? Like he's about to walk off a cliff, but he doesn't know that, doesn't care, right? He's just ready to go. So I think this is saying, just really focus on the ways that you can walk in faith and know that you are moving forward in faith and that I can trust something and pick something that feels good to me, even if I'm not sure how it's going to like play out in my my day-to-day life with sorry, there's some light stuff, how it's going to play out in my day-to-day life based on how it feels versus how it looks. So this is saying just trust in the feelings of it and be willing to take a risk. And, you know, the saying goes, if you want something you never had, you have to do something you've never done. So if you've never, for example, trusted, made a list of how something feels for you, or trusted something new, trying something new, maybe going off the beaten path, moving away from some tradition, this is definitely just hinting that, like, you know, you do need to trust your gut and like take some of these more choices that make sense with your intuition more than, you know, logic. Again, you don't want to be completely illogical, but don't downplay your intuition also. Okay, so let me look at your oracle cards. Oh my God, this is crazy. I mean, no, it's not, but whatever. Okay, so I'll just start with this. This is exactly what I was talking about. So we have the outlaw and adventure for both of these two cards. So the outlaw and adventure, so this is what I'm just talking about with adventure, with something new coming in, with something new happening for you, with this thing you've been waiting for. Just make sure you're really focused on it. Make sure that, you know, you do have to do something different to have a different life and open up many different possibilities for yourself. And I think with the outlaw, that is also saying, you know, just what I was talking about of like, you need to be the outlaw of your own life. You need to break the rules of maybe some of the traditions you had. This could be against like some culture or family or things you were born into, but it can also be the rules that we hold within ourselves, right? Sometimes we block ourselves more so than some external things are doing anymore. And so I think it's important to look at, you know, how can you be an outlaw? How can you break the rules? How can you use this feminine energy to trust that? And then again, have a little faith to be able to do that. So both of these just really strong confirmation for that message. And then, yeah, this is really nice. I think, okay, we'll start with this one. Dance with life. Do something to change your energy. So I think, obviously this is the theme we saw in this reading, but also if you are a dancer, you do resonate with movement. I feel like that's a way we can shift through a lot of like some stagnant energies, doing body movement. So maybe if it's not dancing, but it's maybe some other practice that involves the body, I think that could also resonate for you. But also again, dance with life of, you know, you have options, you have choices. You can go back and forth, go with the flow of things you want to do. And again, opening my mind. And then on the affirmation on the back is, I allow myself to see beyond my beliefs and ideas. So I think, again, this is just a really strong message we're talking about here of like kind of being open to creative possibilities, right? So the affirmation, I'm open to creative possibilities. I allow myself to see beyond my beliefs and ideas, just the ways that you can add something new into your life. You can maybe open yourself up in a way that you didn't think was possible for you. And then this card is very nice. Fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites extremes of life. So I think this is just a good little reminder that you are supported. Sometimes, you know, when we go through some of this nightmare stuff, when we go through a challenging time, when we go through a hard process, reminding yourself that there are a lot of things on earth that we just have to go through that aren't the most ideal. But this is saying fall into my arms. So it could be if you do have a physical support system, like someone you love and care about to take care of you, like reaching out to them. But this can also be falling into your arms, like, right, of your higher power. I'm just really surrendering to that and just saying, like, I don't feel good. I need help. I need support. Just remember that you're not alone. You're not expected to do all of this on your own. You are expected to feel loved and cared for, but you have to ask for that support. So this is, I think, just a good little, if you're feeling a little heartbroken in this group, this is a good little reminder that you're not alone and God does want what's best for you. Spirit is looking out for you. And even when it says like the extremes of life, right? Sometimes we go through hard times, but there's always abundance on the other side. We always go through something. Nothing's in vain. So just remember you are being guided and protected, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Happy new moon. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 4 for your reading. A reminder, this is a new moon reading. This is timeless. So again, whenever you're watching it, maybe it's not a new moon, but the focus of these readings is what can you call in? What do you want to focus on bringing into your life instead of releasing, which is more full moon energy. So the reading is geared a little bit more towards what can you release, or what can you, not what you can release, what can you call in? What can you bring towards you? So that's going to be some of the themes we're looking at with this. Okay, like always, I'm going to start with your tarot, and then I'll clarify with your oracle cards at the end. Opening your reading, opening your reading, we have the Magician, followed by the very powerful Star card as well, and then followed by the Six of Wands. Then we have the High Priestess in reverse. Then we have Knight of Wands. Then we have 10 of Swords. And then we have King of Pentacles. Okay, I mean, I feel like with the theme of your reading, the High Priestess in reverse, I feel like right away I just want to tell this group, if you are doubting yourself, doubting your intuitive nature, doubting your connection to spirit, doubting your connection to God, doubting who you know in your heart to be as this pure being, stop. Okay, fixed. We can end the, I mean, you know, we're going to get there, but this is the theme of, I feel like with this new moon, it's going to be important for you to call in energy of like feeling confident, feeling sure of yourself, feeling like this is what I'm doing and I know what I'm doing. That feels like very, very strong, the theme of this reading, but we'll get into it, but that's the main thing. Okay, so opening this reading, I mean, can you believe that? I love this. Magician and Star card. So this is very much magical energy. Magician is like, I can create as I want. Like my life is in my hands. I feel connected to my power. I know what I can control in my own life, and I'm doing that. And then the Star is very much like an intuitive card, connecting to your subconscious, connecting to the parts of you that help you kind of breathe this magic into your life. And so I feel like, you know that's part of your life, even if it hasn't felt like it recently. This is definitely part of you. It's definitely in you. And then a lot of your confidence and a lot of your trust in yourself, because right, we go right into the Six of Wands after that, comes from these two energies. So I think when you really honor within yourself, like these magical star powers that you have within yourself, that's when you feel confident, right? That's when you feel clear about who you are, not when you're trying to, make sure you have the latest fashion trend, or you have the best paying job, or you have this thing, or you have that, which, like, again, there's a certain level of importance to that. Like, we want you to be sufficient on earth. We want you to feel good. But this is saying that, really riding around feeling like you are it comes from connecting to the magic within you and this like subconscious intuitive energy within you. So I think for the new moon, if you have felt a little bit disconnected from that, which is kind of what I feel like is going on for you if you pick this group, this is saying it's still there. It just, sometimes we have to go through a process where we might feel a little bit disconnected from it. But this is saying, like, don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your greatness. Don't doubt who you are in your heart, and just kind of like moving more into, maybe there was a time where you're like, oh, I was so much more confident when this happened, or when this happened, or when this was like this. And so just kind of moving away from some of that, and instead moving into like a little bit more peace and trust and love within yourself is going to be important, and getting back to that. So just really thinking, when you did feel really powerful and really intuitive, like what was going on in your life? What were you doing? Like maybe you need to go back to the basics. Maybe you need to go back to, setting a little more time to meditate for yourself, or going on a little bit more walks, or spending some more time in nature, or just doing things that really make you feel connected and powerful to yourself and your higher power. I feel like this is what's coming through. So maybe with the new moon, looking at what patterns maybe fell away from my life, or that I want to re-add back into my life to like get me to that next level. I feel like is going to be important, because again, the center of your reading, we have the High Priestess in reverse. And so this is saying to me, right, the High Priestess is not in your reading, right? It's here. This very intuitive, wonderful card is here. It's just in reverse. So this is saying that, maybe you feel a little disconnected right now. This is about, again, magical energy. It's about intuitive energy. It's about knowing who you are, all of that. So this is saying, even if you don't feel like you are the High Priestess right now, like the energy is still in you. It's still alive. It's still a part of you. It's definitely still there. So just making sure that you're not, if you're going through a hard time, you don't need to doubt your greatness. You don't need to doubt this amazing, wonderful person you are. It's just going to be about trying to reconnect back to that, more so than being like, oh my God, it's gone. You can't lose your own magic. You can't lose the fact that you're a star. Like, you just can't. if it feels disconnected, right? Maybe you're just going through a time where it's not as readily accessible, or maybe it's not flowing as much, which isn't your fault. That's just part of life. But if you're going through that time, I just want to tell you it's okay. You're going to get through it, because look at what happens next. Okay, Ten of Swords is not a card to be scared of, but this Knight of Wands, right? This is picking up some momentum again. This is picking up some energy. This is picking up some growth. This is saying, like, you know, it's really beautiful that the Six of Wands is like when you're flying high, feeling good, and the Knight of Wands is like he has a wand again, right? So he's moving forward. He has one of those 6 wands back again, you know, and even in this card, he's only holding one. So it could be that he's holding the one again. But it is just about remembering, you know, you do have this power in you, and it is part of you, and, you know, all of those things. And so just knowing that energy is coming back, even if you feel really disconnected from it. So I think with this new moon, some of the intentions you can write is things about, like, how do I feel when I feel really powerful and connected to myself? You know, so just saying, like, I am embodying my full essence. You know, anything like that, any affirmations like that. I am powerful. I know who I am. I can trust my intuition. God speaks to me all throughout the day. And then I think this isn't, to me, what this is saying is you're kind of, it doesn't mean, okay, let me just say, this 10 of Swords based on the spread feels like to me that this, like, lack of, like, feeling like you're not who you are is going to go away. That's what it feels like. It feels like this thing of, oh my God, I've been so disconnected from myself. It feels like it's dying. It feels like this victim self, or this, like, disconnected self, or this whatever is, like, getting stabbed in the back. We're done. It's over, the end. So to me, this feels like this Knight of Wands energy of, like, you feeling your power is, like, going to result in, you know, the death of that. Because look at this beautiful, beautiful outcome we have is the King of Pentacles. So again, I feel like, you know, and you know, all my readings are not gender specific. So there is King and Queen energy, but whatever gender you identify with, this is energy you can connect to. So King of Pentacles here, just again, very powerful, just king on his throne, just looking at all he created, look at it, all his abundance, look at, you know, all of these things that he has, just feeling strong and sturdy. And, like, this is a good place to be, feeling good and confident about yourself. But I feel like this was maybe more of, like, an inner world feeling. And then this is the result of your external abundance matching some internal abundance. So I feel like once you can kind of go through this process, and you can't rush the process, it is what it is. But once you remember that you still are this magical being, and you still just, like, part of growing pains is just kind of, we have to shed some old selves that aren't there anymore or can't go with us, or some old people or habits or jobs or whatever. Like, once you move up to that next level of inner abundance, that's just going to be reflected in a lot of outer abundance too, is kind of what I'm saying. So what I'm seeing in this reading. So I think with this card, it's important to think about, you know, what does physical abundance look like for you? So, you know, I feel like this group, you've tapped into some of, like, what does internal abundance look like, right? Like, I know my intuition, I know how to make decisions, things feel clear and good to me. But it's looking at, what does some of that external abundance look like? So what does, you know, maybe is this job you always wanted, or you want to live in this certain home, or you want to, you know, I don't know. But I think with this moon, it's just about, don't doubt the power you have when you live fully embodied and fully aligned within yourself. Okay, let me look at your oracle cards. Okay, I can't, look, you can't make this up. If you have been to my reading before, you know that I do not cherry pick my cards. Just the ones that come out are just always such wonderful. Okay, let me just start talking. Okay, so first, can you look? Do I even need to explain this to you? Look, the Creator and the Magician. This is literally the exact same energy of, like, you are magical, you are powerful, you can have what you want in life. And going along with that, just what I was talking about was sacred. I mean, I feel like this is the exact same thing as these two cards. So if you didn't get the message before, if you were like, oh, maybe she's talking about other people, but not me, I am talking about you. Okay, so you are a sacred, beautiful being. You are the creator. You do have the ability to create this life you want, these things you want. You aren't asking for too much. You aren't, you know, whatever. It's it's right there for you. It's very affirmed. And then going along with that, I think, look, uncovering confidence. This is the theme of your reading is, you know, uncovering confidence. And so the affirmation on the back says, I'm the missing piece that completes the puzzle of the universe. That is true. So maybe if you've been feeling really down on yourself or you've gone through a hard time or whatever, this is just very clear. Tap into that Aries new moon energy of like, I am the best. I am Aries. I am here. I know who I am. I know what to say, like all of that. Because look, you are sacred and uncovering confidence. I am the missing piece that completes the puzzle of the universe. I love that. And these two cards, again, just really solidifying the last message we want to focus on here is this one says, you're already doing it. Stop overthinking, keep facing your true north. And then this one is perspective. None of this matters, zoom out, common ground. So I feel like none of this matters isn't it's not a nihilist viewpoint. This is more of you're already doing it and perspective. I feel like whatever you're judging yourself for, or however you feel disconnected, I feel like what this message is saying is just like, it's not as bad as your mind is making it think it is. And that happens to all of us, right? All of us get in those ruts. And so usually when you talk to someone and you connect with someone else, it's easy to be like, oh, it's actually not that bad, or it's not that big of a deal. And we're not minimizing feelings you have, but it's important to remember once you go through the process of something, to let it go and to just not dwell on it, to not make yourself crazy about it, to not overthink it. And so just remember, you're already doing it. If you're going through a hard time and you feel a little bit disconnected from yourself, just remember that you're already doing it. And this is a process that it is important to work through within yourself. So it is important to know that you are already doing it. You don't need to be doing anything different. You're already doing it because you are it, right? With this, and then also with this, with the creator and sacred again. And then here, perspective, this is part of life. You got into a rut, who gives a fuck? That's life. We need to move on and just, move into the next layer of things. So this is saying just kind of take some inventory of like, okay, I went through this thing. We want to honor the hard time or honor the challenges or honor, the disconnect from the self, but you don't need to use it as ammunition against yourself. Going through a hard time doesn't mean you need to use that as ammunition against yourself. You're still a human. You're still in this process. The point of life is to grow. So I think this is really, really beautiful. So again, just focusing on, I think with this new moon, another thing that maybe you want to set your intentions on is just ask God to see yourself as the way God sees you. That's always a really beautiful reset, to look at yourself with like some loving, kind, compassionate eyes instead of the eyes of judgment and the eyes of ego, which is, where the human mind wants to kind of go a lot. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this serves you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Happy new moon. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below in the description box. And thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day.